just want to check in with you on this project. It's kind of turned into more than I wanted it to. This was supposed to be like a move-in ready kind of place with just a little bit of paint, but you know how it is, you start digging into things and you know, whether it needs it, or you start thinking about your own standard, or thinking about what's going to happen down the road. You know, like if I don't do this now, am I going to have a tenant in here and be pulling out a furnace or a water heater, for example? So we've kind of cut into more things than I was expecting, but let me show you some of the choices we've made and how we're going to proceed. All right, let's start with the kitchen. Show you. I thought that we could just clean these cabinets up and, you know, paint them and maybe change the countertop, and that would be it. But so I took a door off. Let me just show you here. I have one out here that I was working on. So I started sanding this door, and this, I don't know if you can see it, but it is really thick with paint. And the biggest problem is that top layer is on so thick that when I go to sand it, it just kind of gums up. And you can see at one time this looks like it was almost like a mahogany plywood. So they probably were nice looking custom, you know, built in place kind of cabinets. But I've just decided this is not worth it. Even in the end, if I clean these up, they're still junky built-in cabinets. So I started doing the math and figured for $1,000 I can get unfinished cabinets from Home Depot for $1,000, you know, and I paint them up, they're gonna look brand new. That's well worth doing. So that's what we decided there. I'll show you more as we make progress. I'm gonna start tearing this out today, and I'll show you the layout later. All right, so that leads me to the other decision, changing the hot water heater and the furnace air conditioner. Now this summer I was in here doing other work, using the house kind of like as a workshop, and I couldn't get, the AC would run, but it didn't feel like there was any air, and it wasn't cold. It was cool, sort of. And had my HVAC people in, and they kind of just said, you know, as they always say, just replace it. And I thought, you know, it's old enough. If I do it later, it's going to cost even more. Let's do it now. And of course, that leads to changing out the water heater, which I got a new one here ready to go in. So in the end, once we got it out, I'm grateful that we did. We found all kinds of issues with that other unit. And, you know, $6,500 later, we'll have a new furnace and hot water heater. So at least I can take some comfort in the fact that it's good and new. So those are some of my biggest expenses anyway. This leads me to another problem. I got my water turned on and everything was working pretty good, but I think there was some junk in the water line, which then clogs up this Morin. Is that how you say it? Let me find the tap here. Yeah, Moen, the Moen brand, which I haven't dealt much with. I usually deal with the Delta valve. Turns out, watching some YouTube videos, this cartridge is nearly impossible to get out. They showed ways of drilling and tapping and pulling it out, and you know, I started thinking about that. But you know, I like the Delta valve. It's very versatile, easy to use. I think I'm going to just replace this. Now, I don't want to get into tearing out this, because to get into that valve from here, you'd have to tear that all out. But what I'm thinking is we can do two things with this cabinet tear out. Take here back to the kitchen. We get this cabinet out. There's probably an access panel to the back of that tub. So I'm going to just see if I can replace that from the back side. Anyway, so that's the project for now. We haven't even thought about cosmetic things, you know, fixing walls, picking colors, but we'll get into that eventually. As you can see, you know, you look at this room and it doesn't look too bad, but who knows, right? I'm noticing there's a little bubble in the ceiling up here, which looks like a water damage. I don't know if you can tell. So who knows what that'll turn into. Anyway, this is the way it is with old houses, and I guess in the long run I kind of enjoy it. So anyway, this is Rincon Steve signing out. Talk to you later.